Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming out on this beautiful August day. I'm going to start off by wishing the U.S. Coast Guard a happy 235th birthday today. We thank them for their service right here in Falmouth. They do a phenomenal job. So I'm going to do something a little different today. We're going to have Maggie from the beaches, our beach superintendent. She's going to give you an update, answer any questions that you have. But I kind of wanted to address a few things that have come up recently. And again, I want to thank FCTV for taping this for rebroadcast for those who can't be with us. So I'm gonna go over the last 24 hours with you. So I get what they call a notable call report after every shift. So I'm gonna pick a quiet Sunday. It actually was a little quieter than usual during the summer. But I'm just going to read these right to you, and then I'm going to talk about some issues. Woods Hole, Main Street, we'll talk about 4th of July a little bit, and then I'll give you a brief update on the new station before I introduce Maggie. So on the midnight shift last night, we had one sergeant working and 7 patrol officers. We have a minimum of 6 now. When I took over, it was 5, so lots of overtime in the summer. Personal deployments, sector cars directed to patrol in the areas of responsibility for service calls, required roll call, area checks, suspicious persons, breaking and entering activity, or conduct that requires police interaction. One officer assigned to each sector. Directed patrol. During their tour of duties, officers to conduct general building, area checks, parking violations, town hall, Woods Hole, including 24-hour businesses, employees, Town Hall parking lot to include Oddfellows Hall, Beaches, Jewish Congregation, Falmouth High School. Notable calls. Past B&E, 0600 hours, officers responded to a past breaking and entering to a motor vehicle. Caller reports over the night his vehicle was broken into. Please, folks, lock your vehicles. Don't leave any valuables in plain sight. We have a lot of undesirable individuals out there that are breaking into houses, they're breaking into cars. Make sure everything's secure. Your doors are secure, your garage doors are secure, etc. Just after midnight, domestic. Officers responded to North Falmouth residents for a domestic. Officers determined that a juvenile was being verbally disrespectful to their parents. Unwanted guests. This was just before midnight. Officers were dispatched to a motel on Main Street for an unwanted guest. Evening shift had responded here numerous times, and now the manager wanted the guest removed. The guest left to go stay at a different hotel for the night. 23:58 hours, so this is again, the first call was 23:56, just before midnight, and another call, 23:58. Suspicious person. Officers responded to an East Falmouth address for a suspicious person. The caller stated someone in pajama pants was looking into his vehicle. Officers checked the area and were unable to locate anyone. Again, someone that's out trying to do breaks. So on the midnight shifts, and this is a quieter night for us during the summer, 25 total calls for service and 1 motor vehicle stop. We're going to now go to the evening shift. We try to have 2 sergeants on every shift. There's a station sergeant, and then there's also a sergeant that's on the road. We have a lot of younger officers, so we want to make sure the staff are getting the proper supervision and guidance that they need while they're out in calls. Personal deployment, officers were assigned to the following areas. We have 5 sectors. Directed patrol, back each other up. Checks per roll call, traffic enforcement, drug enforcement, complete reports. So we have a roll call at the beginning of every shift. That's where if you have a traffic complaint or other issues, we hand all those out, different areas of responsibility, and when call volume allows, we deal with those patrol-initiated police activity. Notable calls. Unwanted guests. This was just after 10 o'clock. This was just after 8 o'clock. Officers were dispatched to an unwanted guest at the Iris Hotel. An intoxicated female was refusing to leave and cursing at guests. Due to her high level of intoxication, rescue was requested and transported her to the hospital. She was PC'd for alcohol to the hospital, where she was left in their care and custody. Welfare check. At 20:56 hours, again just before 9, officers were dispatched to the Mariner Hotel after the owner called reporting one of their tenants had bite marks to his arm after his girlfriend arrived. Officers arrived and spoke to the male tenant. He wasn't forthcoming with any information. However, the female was no longer on location. He was advised that staff did not want her on the property, but wanted him out tomorrow when his stay was up. Warrant service. Just before 10 o'clock, one of our officers asked dispatch to check a female for warrants. Dispatch confirmed she had 2. She was then taken into custody. After fighting with officers, she reported no injuries from the incident. Bail commissioner set bail at $500. 32 total calls for service, 8 motor vehicle stops. They also we had another water main break. That's 2 in a couple of days. Water main break was reported on Allen Ave. Water department responded, and Officer Massey from our community engagement team, social media team, posted that on social media. If you're not following us on social media, please do. You can find out a lot of really cool information on there. Now we're going to go to day shift. Day shift, we had 2 sergeants on duty and 7 officers. They were assigned to their different areas. Again, directed patrol we talked about, back each other up, checks per roll call, traffic enforcement, drug enforcement, complete reports. We had a domestic. Officers were dispatched to a convenience store and T-ticket for a report of a domestic in progress. Officers arrived and received information that it was possibly physical at one point. The male had walked away from the scene but was located and detained. Officers spoke with witnesses and none of them were able to confirm whether there was physical assault. Officers released the male and transported the female to the station until she could arrange for a ride. The vehicle they were traveling in was towed due to being revoked for insurance violations. A follow-up investigation will be conducted to review the video footage, which was not available at the time of the call. 25 calls for service and 1 motor vehicle stop. So in a 24-hour period, there was a total of 82 calls for service and 10 motor vehicle stops on a quiet Sunday here in Falmouth. So last Thursday, it wasn't a really nice beach day. I had meetings down at Town Hall, literally on going down Main Street, which is normally a two-minute ride. Took me over 20 minutes. And then I had to find parking on top of it. That's just the reality of Falmouth. And what I wanted to touch briefly on about Woods Hole is, I get a lot of complaints about traffic backups and other issues, and we're trying to fill a detail down there, some funding we were given. And for the most part, it has been filled every day, sometimes multiple officers to kind of keep the traffic moving, the intersection at Water Street open, etc. But what I say to people is, like when you're stuck in a 5-6 mile backup on the bridge, when you take 10 pounds of flour and you're trying to cram it into a 1-pound sack, I'm sorry, you're going to have delays. It's just the reality of Woods Hole, and I'm sorry that we can't do more, but we're trying as hard as we can. But these roads just weren't built for this much traffic, and I say it all the time. I can't wait till the Falmouth Road Race is over. As a great event as it is, and I love supporting those folks. It's a great group of people that put that race on. But I can take a left turn a couple of weeks after that race is over. And it's just a lot of stress on the police department. We're still very short-staffed. One of the goals the town manager gave me was to create a traffic unit. I need more positions to do that so I could do more traffic-related enforcement. I mean, I can't tell you right now off the top of my head how many pedestrians have been struck this year and how many violations that we have and people that aren't driving appropriately that I would like to really, really deal with. And I'm hoping in the future I'm going to have some conversation with the town manager to adding some people to the department. We're short-staffed. So I want to briefly go back to the 4th of July. So the 4th of July, that 27 minutes costs you folks a lot of money because I have to pay 25 state troopers their overtime rate. I order the entire department on duty to include myself. I have 5 or 6 people from the sheriff's department. So I think there was a total of 96 police officers. We had near riots when I first got here. So I decided to basically do some proactive patrols before the 4th and after the 4th to deal with some people that are fresh, and it's worked. We've sent a strong message. We didn't have a lot of issues, but there's a large cost to do that. For the most part, people were very happy with it. You've got 30 to 35,000 people just in the Heights. Never mind Minot and Surf. And we put patrols at Old Silver, New Silver, because we had issues all over town 2 years ago. Goodwill Park, major issues. We had a parking attendant that was physically assaulted, some other issues. Someone almost ran someone over with a car. I assigned people down to Goodwill Park this year. We had zero issues down there. So when I tell you, when you have 100,000 people in town, if you look at state and federal data, it should say we should have 230 police officers. So for me, having 100 people having 96 police officers on duty dealing with 100,000 people isn't too much. And if you saw in the Enterprise, there was a resident that felt there was too much of a police presence. Here's what I want to tell you. I'd rather have too many than not enough. I want to make sure you people are safe, and there is a cost to it. That 27 minutes probably cost you $80,000, but it's worth every penny to make sure our officers are safe, you folks are safe, and if people are fresh, we deal with that appropriately. And I want to thank the Massachusetts State Police, DPW, Fire, the Sheriff's Department for their support, because even having us all there, we can't do it without them. The midnight shift that night, from midnight to 8 to 0800 hours to 8 a.m., 76 calls for service. 76. So to deal with those 76 calls, we had a few troopers that stayed over. We paid for it, and I doubled the shift. I doubled the shift that night. We did have a couple of arrests, and we did have some issues. The usual complaints, firework complaints, fights. We had barroom fights. We had all kinds of things that we had to deal with. But luckily, no officers were hurt, and there were no, serious incidents. So I just wanted to share that with you that, you're taking a town in the winter months, which I've said 1,000 times. I think we're probably closer to 40,000 than 33,000. And then you're bringing it up near the six-figure mark. You're turning us into a major city. It's just the traffic congestion, the crime we deal with, the domestics. I mean, just that night alone on 4th of July, we had 2 suicide attempts, 2 overdoses. I mean, some calls that take 5 minutes, some calls that take over an hour that tie up 5 people. So I just want to know we're working really hard. The staff across the way is doing a great job. We're definitely jammed in that place right now. There's no room. We can't move. So we're looking forward to hopefully having your support. If I have any town meeting members in here, we're going to be going for some funding for scope and design at fall town meeting. And then we'll talk about how we're going to fund the project to build. We need to get out of here. The number 1 site, we have 3 sites. We want to get buy-in from you folks, is Brick Hill. I've been told I can talk about that. Where the new Y is going, right across from the drive that's going to be theirs, would be the entryway for the public to go into the police station across the street. So right across from where the church is, Jack and the Bean is, we'd be right across the street. So I'm looking forward to that. It's probably going to be at least a 3-year project. So we're going to make the best of what we have over here. But like I said, the staff's doing a phenomenal job. Cannot wait until the Pulse start at Woods Hole for the Falmouth Road Race, so we can, like I said, watch the air start to come out of the balloon a little bit slowly, and we can have the town back to us. It's going to be nice. So anyway, without further ado, sorry, I went a little bit longer than I normally do, Maggie, but I've got a crazy day, crazy week this week, so I have to leave you. I'm going to try to set some time in September to answer some questions if you have any questions of me. September is going to be the firearms unit. We're going to talk about firearms training. We're going to talk about use of force, and we're going to talk about our tasers that we're trying to replace. There's going to be a warrant article at fall town meeting to replace our tasers, so we're going to talk about that. October, state reps are going to come in with our state senator. In November, I'm bringing the chair of the police station building committee, the architect, and the OPM, the project manager, to come talk to you about that. So again, FCTV we can rebroadcast that for the month until town meeting. Remember the 17th, try to stay off the roads in the area of the road race. And like I said, I look forward to being back here next month, September, a little quieter, and we can get back to the business that's all Falmouth. But thank you very much, everybody.
Hi, everyone. I'm just going to pull up a couple of things on the computer, and then I'll go stand more central instead of behind the podium.
So while Maggie is bringing that up, remember, when we get to some questions and answers, just make sure you raise your hand. We'll bring the microphone over because we want the people watching from home to hear your questions, okay? Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Jill. So again, my name is Maggie Clayton. I'm the beach superintendent for the town of Falmouth. This is my 19th year working for the department, my 6th year in the superintendent's chair. I started as a lifeguard a ways back. And this is our website that we try and keep up to date for any information because we know you can't leave a voicemail at the beach phone number. So email or the actual website will get you some of your answers faster when we're not there, though we are open 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. 7 days a week in season. The only newsflash we have right now is the dogs on beaches regulation, a reminder about no dogs allowed on town of Falmouth beaches from May 1st to October 1st. That does not that includes whether or not dogs are leashed. They're just not allowed. When they are allowed on the beach, they must be leashed from October 1st to April 30th. And that's something that we have to partner with animal control for enforcement, and we know that people are frustrated by other people not following that bylaw. We do have the vice chair of the beach committee here, Joe Strazula. They're also a great resource if you know one of your 7 beach committee members to go to with things that you want to see advocated for the select board with the department. We're in our mid-season now. We've been open 41 days full-time, so we have staff out at 10 sites, all listed on our website. Hours are on our website. The beach wheelchairs are there. And the first parking lot of the day just filled. So I can show you how I do a quick website update. Old Silver Residence parking lot just filled for the day. And so we post 2 ways so that people can check before they drive to the beach and get frustrated that they can't find a parking space. Let's make sure I get my password right. No, don't save my password. Okay, so there's 2 ways that you can find out whether a beach parking lot is full. One is to check the town website, and I'm putting it up, and then I'll show you where you see it. And the other is to sign up for our alerts, and the alerts, it's harder when I am doing this, okay. The alerts can come via text message or email, or if you have the Smart 911 Rave app, it'll just be a push notification to your phone if you're in the geographic area of Falmouth. Because we don't want people to be frustrated when they arrive at the beach. So today is August 4th. That's sad and scary. We've already had 3 lifeguards and 1 parking attendant leave because they're going to be freshmen in southern schools and they're going down for orientation. But we still have all 10 sites staffed right now. No, go faster. 10:49. Isn't that what I put? No, that's the end time. So sorry, you're seeing behind the wall, and that's Terry from Old Stone Dock Association and Billy, one of my parking attendants back there, double checking my work. So this notification will stay live on the town website until 11:59 tonight. The following beach parking lots are full as of, now I have to change it, 10:50 a.m. because I take too long. I'm much faster typing when I can type with 2 hands. Sorry, everybody. So the front page will have the last time the post was updated, and then the main page will say what time we actually got the notice. So 10:47 is when my phone dinged to tell me that the lot was full. We have a nice little picture. Load, load, load. Beach. Beach. Feature this news. Save and publish, don't send. Okay, so now if anyone is on the Town of Falmouth website, on the home page, right in Falmouth News at the top, it says beach parking lots fill status. So just go to falmouthma.gov. If a parking lot is full, it will say it right there, and it's only for that day. The other thing I'm gonna try and show you, but might be a little hiccupy because we're not logged in, is the Town of Falmouth Beach Department's Facebook page, which it does not. If you are active on social media, that's a place we also post information. So the last thing I'll show you is the signing up for the alerts. This came into effect a few years ago. It's highlighted here. We also have a link on the beaches page. It's making a smart 911 profile. It's really helpful for public safety, for knowing where you are if you use your cell phone to call 911. And there's an option to sign up for specific alerts based on if you want the water department's alerts, and you get a text when a water main break happens. So just something that I recommend and that we use for the beaches. Over 3,000 people receive our notifications that way as well. And I'm going to log out before I leave my computer. Okay, cool. Great. All right. All right, out from behind the podium. So I was also presented at the select board last week. The beach committee and myself and the assistant beach superintendent, Brooke McMillan, did a mid-season report for the board. First time I had been before the board with our new members sworn in this spring. So I'll just do a quick recap for people who already heard, because I did not update the numbers yet. But these are our first 6-month numbers. So we have sold over 11,900 beach parking permit stickers for taxpayers. And taxpayers are people who have paid a motor vehicle excise tax, boat excise, personal property, or real estate taxes to the town. You have to be a taxpayer in good standing, meaning you do not have an overdue balance to get your beach parking permit sticker, but when you have it, it gets you into all 10 of our locations. And right now, there was a push for the online ordering, and we're gonna work with Jill and the Senior Center to try and have a couple of days this winter, January, February, to coach people on completing an online order successfully. But I would say 2/3 of that almost 12,000 number, 8,002 stickers, were purchased online between January 1st and July 27th. There's a little more work on your end as the customer. It's a little bit cheaper on the fee schedule set by the select board as well if you do your order online. Non-resident stickers, only 155 or so. So when people say, oh, I can't get into the beach, it's not from out-of-towners. It's from your fellow taxpayers who are also enjoying the beach. We only have about 1,400 parking spaces. We don't have a limit on how many stickers we issue. If you get to the beach in a timely manner, you'll be fine. We have about 141 people on payroll in the beach department this summer, divided up between lifeguards, parking attendants, and beach clerks who issue those stickers. And we're here to do the best level of community service we can. We're in our last week of swim lessons. Swim lessons are offered at 9 of the 10 beaches. every beach but Woodneck. Locals know Woodneck, the tides are a little too extreme. When it's low tide, it would take half hour of the swim lesson to get out deep enough for the kids to have water to swim in. So, but the other 9 locations, we have over 200 swimmers, ages 4 to 14, enrolled in 5 different levels of lessons. And last week, 10 students were just certified to become lifeguards. And of those 10, 6 of them are being hired by the department to start this month to replace our students who are going down to college to try and keep beaches staffed as long as we can. And the last thing on my sheet was our shark sightings. That's a novelty this year. As I said, I've worked for the department for 19 years, and this is the first year we've ever had shark sightings during what I call business hours, when we have staff on duty between 7:30 a.m. at the earliest and 7:30 p.m. at the latest. But we have a protocol in place. There's been no human-shark interaction in the 4 times that we've had a sighting. We work cooperatively with departments in town. Greg Frazier, our harbor master, the director of Marine and Environmental Services, is the first person who gets a call. The second is a group text to the town manager's office to notify them. And we clear the water for 1 hour from the last sighting of the fin. But the message I want to stress to people is that the sharks are not actually new. They are always there. They don't have to surface. We only see them if they choose to surface. And it's not a bad thing that they exist. It's a fact, a reality. The water temperature is running about 72 degrees right now, which is warmer. Normally we don't get that high until a little later in August. So that's another factor to draw in that crowd of marine creature. But that's most of my presentation, and I can move into the question and answer part whenever people are ready.
Has there been any consideration of buying a lot or putting cars somewhere and busing to the beach? Because I haven't been able to get on the beach yet this summer. I mean, I can't be there at 8:30 in line waiting to get on the beach.
Okay, that's a valid question and concern. There are special event permits in town, like Coast Fest that was just at the harbor on Saturday. I know that with their event permit, they got permission to use the Lawrence School and the Morse Pond parking lots, Lawrence and Mullen Hall, to bus people to the harbor for their event, since there's limited parking at the harbor. I would say that that would be a larger conversation with the town manager and probably town meeting if we were going to lease a lot to do that. We do keep track of the parking lot fill times. There's only been 3 days this entire summer where every single lot in town has filled. There's been spaces every day for all or part of the day at all 10 sites. The most popular beach that you would have to get earliest, I would say, is MBL's Stony Beach down in Woods Hole. But as Chief said, we all know that the traffic down there causes part of that hubbub, and MBL sticker users can also use that lot. So I will bring that up in my next Community Services Department head meeting.
Minot Beach.
Yeah.
The parking. The right side doesn't allow any parking for some reason. And I noticed that there's 6 lifeguards parking in the regular parking zone. Why can't they park over on the right?
So there's 2 sides of Minot Beach. When you say right, do you mean?
The west side.
Okay, so facing the ocean, Minot West is what we call the bigger parking lot that's closer to Davisville Road. The lifeguards that work there do park in Minot West because that's where the equipment locker is, where they get all of their materials for the day. So it's where they start and end their day. They walk when they have to go to the other side, so they don't take up spaces on the other side of the smaller parking lot. I would say the most staff cars would be 6, but I can tell you today 3 of the 6 guards at Minot carpooled in one car, so they were not taking up extra spaces.
Are they going to keep, excuse me, Minot, the brand-new Keep Right sign, is that going to be removed in the winter, so, or anytime they need to do grading of the parking lot?
Yes, so that was installed by our beach maintenance labor foreman, Ira. He's a seasonal employee like me who works under the DPW, the highway division, as a seasonal employee. And that was put in for safety because, and to allow parking attendants to fully do their job, because if vehicles cut left and a car is exiting, we don't want to have a collision. We want to make sure the parking attendant doesn't necessarily have to leave the booth to be able to verify the sticker. But there is an awareness that off-season, what I would call the, or off-season or shoulder season, when a lot of maintenance work happens, it does not preclude Minot parking lot from being graded. Yep. The parking attendant booths will stay out all winter, but they'll get moved to a place that no one will hit them. They're very large.
I have been walking on Chappaquiddick Beach for 46 years. And a few years ago, you took out the wait lane for the parking lot. So like last week, I went there on a weekday in the middle of the afternoon. The parking lot was full. But while I was in the turnaround, I noticed somebody was leaving. So in a matter of 5 minutes, 3 cars left. But yet, if I hadn't seen that car leaving, I would have been at the end of the street, and there would have been 3 empty parking spaces. So can you tell me why that wait lane has been eliminated?
Sure. So the queue line, or the live parking, is actually only legally permitted at Old Silver Beach and Minot Beach based on the width of the road. So the standing lane at Chappaquiddick, we were told, was illegal several years ago. I want to say 2018, because it was pre-COVID. I was a lifeguard supervisor at the time. And that's why the barrels are there. It is not, the road is not wide enough to allow cars to be there and to have emergency vehicles be able to get to and from Chappaquiddick Island as needed. The turnaround is supposed to be, the parking attendants should have the rope down whenever a parking space is available. So if you go up, use the turnaround so that you can enter the lot pulling in from the right instead of taking a left-hand turn. The rope will be down if there are spaces available. But it would require going to town meeting for like a capital project to alter the parking lot design to change where the fencing is to make that queue wide enough to be a live parking space.
Okay, the sidewalk ends at the parking lot. Okay, and then there's a curve there. Has anyone ever considered taking that curve and straightening it so that you have those extra few feet?
That would be outside my purview, unfortunately. We tell our parking attendants that they cannot control the road. They can only control what happens in their parking lot, and the same goes for my position. My guess is if there was community insistence and funding and proper permitting, it would probably have to go through the DPW engineering department to talk about removing of a sidewalk or...
No, I'm not talking about removing the sidewalk. After the sidewalk ends, the road curves right alongside where the parking lot is. Sure. If you straighten that curve, you would gain enough space to put a lane there.
Yeah. Joe's going to just make a comment.
I'm going to intercede because we've spent at least 2 years back at the time when it was being removed, trying to find out the options from the beach committee point of view. And I'm also going to say, the beach committee is the interceder between the public and the select board. Our only purpose in life is to make recommendations to the select board about things on the beaches. Maggie operates the beaches in the summer. The beach committee is here all year long, and what we do is we try to find things to recommend to the select board that will improve the operations of the beaches, including that particular question. Conservation does not allow the sand to be removed on the right-hand side that you're talking about. The parking lot would be diminished if we went the other way onto town property on the parking lot side. So we're in a catch-22 where if we widen the road enough on the parking lot side of Chappie, then you end up losing parking spaces in the lot. So as Maggie says, the road is just not big enough, and conservation land is on one side towards the harbor, and then the parking lot's on the other. So we are working as best we can to have the parking attendants be as happy and pleasant, and also bring you the spaces as fast as they can. And they're pretty flexible. They'll let you drop in the lot. You can go in the lot and drop off somebody and then come out, if that be the case. And then, like I do, I go to Chappie every other day. And we go, we see if there's a space, and if not, we go down, turn around, and come back again. And that's how it works, unfortunately.
I have a question. In the spring, there was an article in the Enterprise about allowing unleashed dogs on the beach at certain times, and I'm really concerned about that. In general, I did write a letter to the beach committee, and I'm not sure what's going to become of that proposal, but I feel like I'm concerned about it because I think it's a slippery slope. And I feel like even if 1 or 2 dogs soiled the beach, it's a problem. So.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that concern. So the article that was published, or the original letter to the editor, did not come from anyone with a stakehold in the beach department or the beach committee. We have signage at the Surf Drive bathhouse that reminds people when dogs are not allowed on the beach, that they use resources like the Falmouth Dog Park on Brick Kiln Road. There's a reason for the procedure in the law. We don't want people who go to the beach to be afraid. We don't want the potential bacteria of people not picking up after their dogs. There's a reason to not have unleashed dogs on the beach and to not have dogs during high usage season at all on the beach. It's not in my goal wish list at all to change our policy on dogs on the beaches. I love animals. I'm personally a cat owner, but there's no movement at this time from the town point of view of allowing dogs on the beaches differently than the bylaw states. Sure.
And I too love dogs. I have a dog. She looks longingly at the beach, and I tell her too bad. but anyway, I think in terms of signage for no dogs on the beach, we frequently walk on the heights along that area, and other beaches too. I think there needs to be no dogs allowed signs somewhere else other than the back of the lifeguard chairs, and I know that's expensive, and I know that it's troublesome to have to do that, but on the other hand, I think many people don't see it or don't know it, and I think, people seem to be better than they used to be, but it's still a problem.
Yeah, we're always evaluating our signage, best placement, making sure we're replacing faded ones. I can tell you at the Heights, there's one sign about the bylaw at the crosswalk at the end of the Heights closest to Bristol. There is a sign there. If someone crosses the street, they should see the sign there. But we'll look at it. We'll keep trying. Yeah, on the handicapped access. Yep. Yep. We have the largest sign that we have for no dogs is at Chappaquoit because it is the site with the largest number of offenses, with people walking their dog on the high tide line, past Bowerman's, through the salt pond, sanctuary lands down to Black Beach. But we can work on signage in other places. Yep.
Hi, Jeff Gentile, East Falmouth. Forgive me if you already covered this because I stepped out for a couple of seconds, but with the rules of actually walking along the beach, and let me take Chappie as an example for private side. You get to Chappie, and my wife and I like to take a left and then walk way down to the open area. You're always passing by private beaches, and even in Minot, where we go to all the time, there are private houses. Are we allowed to walk across but not stop? What are the real rules about where we're allowed to walk and where we're really not to, out of respect for a private beach?
Yes, so public shoreline is public. Public shoreline is dictated by the tide. So from the high tide mark down to the water is public access. No one can block access to that. You cannot be walking in that space and then like sit. But yes, that's protected by public rights along the shoreline. And we do have documentation of that from former town council. So if it's not up on the town website, I can add it. You're welcome. Anything else? Anything fun? No?
Anybody else?
No? Okay. Well, thank you for having me. Again, I'm Maggie. My office is at 56 Surf Drive. If you have any questions, call us, email, and we'll be happy to help. We're glad summer's not over. Oh, one more question.
And this may have been answered, I may have missed it. Is there still talk of moving the Surf Drive office to another spot?
So that was not discussed yet this morning. There was a proposal last year for funding for a study of a town-owned building, remodeling it for our department or another department to inhabit over on the pumping station road on the 28 side of Goodwill Park. That did not get funded, so where the town manager's office is reevaluating. As of now, we're existing in the offices as they are. I like being able to see the ocean from my desk. I'm not super ready to move, but we are aware of the risks of the building based on erosion, based on the Surf Drive coastal resiliency study that was done several years ago, and then the new grant that the report's coming out in about a month. So the beach committee is advocating for getting some movement on that process, but we do have funding for mobile offices for the next 3 years if something was to happen to the building. If we had a Hurricane Bob-like event and the building was no longer able to be used, we do have funding from town meeting to set up mobile offices until we could get to Plan B, if Plan B is not yet in the works. Okay.
Just to be clear, the beach committee has recommended formally to the select board that the Surf Drive bathhouse be relocated, or the offices in the Surf bathhouse be relocated to a better facility. They're jammed in there like sardines. They have no place to keep their equipment on the beach, and it is not a winterized building. So we are looking for another site, and hopefully like the police department, this operation has grown over the years, and we're looking at the area in Goodwill Park on Pumping Station Road as a possible location, more central to the town. We don't like the backing out onto the street to go in and park and back and forth, and it has much more area to use. But it is a 2 to 3 year process before we would ever be able to do that if town meeting supports that concept and if the select board supports that concept also.
And the second site, if 10 Pumping Station Road was to go to a different department, is actually the police station. So timeline-wise, if the police moves before a department can move into Pumping Station Road, there's a chance for the beaches or another department to go where the police station is. But again, these are long-term goals that we're working toward because we're aware of Mother Nature's impact. But we're at Surf Drive until further notice. Yeah. Yep.
Has there been discussion about making more of the lots resident-only to open up access for those with resident stickers or increase it?
So the only parking lot that has currently accepts both stickers and pay by the day is the Mill Road extension of Surf Drive. That's gone before the beach committee a couple of times. And the data has shown that it's still used more by residents than pay by the day. So I know that there's an interest, however, the data does not support changing it because visitors to our beaches also matter to us, and we want to make sure that we're not precluding anyone from access where you can pay by the day at Minot, Surf Drive, and Old Silver, and Minot and Surf Drive are $20 for the day, and Old Silver is $30, whereas if you're visiting town for a week and you want a week sticker, then that's $80. So there are going to be some people who make the decision to pay by the day rather than the weekly sticker, and we want to make sure that they have those locations are so that there's one in East Falmouth, one downtown, and one on the north side. So I do recommend just making sure you're signed up for the alert so you know when parking lots fill, but that if you get to the beach before noon, most days you're going to have a parking space.
Going forward, will you continue to sell stickers at Surf Drive as well as online?
Yes, so while we're in the building, the plan is for that operation to continue. So online sales begin in January. You'll get that little sheet, sometimes it's green paper, sometimes it's yellow paper, with your Q3 and Q4 tax bill, and it will give you directions for an online or a mail-in order. So you could get your beach sticker for 2026 in January if you wanted. The in-person sales don't start until Memorial Day weekend because, as Vice Chair Struzula said, our building isn't winterized, so we can't really get into the building I can't have employees working in a building that's not great temperature-wise. We are looking to increase hours of in-person sales for next June. There is a vacancy for the beach coordinator position. Right now, we don't have a supervisor who's available on weekdays to do fiscal count out and to be responsible for staff. The beach superintendent is an hourly, non-benefited position. So while I work year-round, I'm actually also a teacher, and I'm not available except for weekends until the 4th week of June, usually. So we're here as much as we can, but that's why the in-person hours have been weekends only to date.
We were going to ask you, and I forgot to do this before, if we can arrange through the beach department to have off-season sales in a physical location other than the Surf Drive, for instance, either here or at the rec department, would that be something that you'd like to see? If we were to put a person physically in January, February, or March in one of these buildings for a day or a half day or whatever time, because these areas have parking and you can get to it in the winter. Would that be something that you'd be interested in, and then you wouldn't have to stand in line at the bathhouse?
I think that'd be a good idea.
Is that, if enough people took advantage of it, that we could pre-sell prior to the mob scene in May when people are waiting outside? We thought that might be a good thing if we could arrange it. So there's
That'd be
nothing.
good.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just when you said that people can buy a sticker for $80 for the week, is that, do you have to prove that you're here for the week somehow
Yes.
with a?
So you have to show us your rental agreement or your lease agreement. That can be like an Airbnb or VRBO confirmation on your phone. We need to see the Falmouth Street address, the dates you're staying, and then the sticker has an expiration date related to your length of stay in Falmouth.
And the other thing is, why do we sell out-of-town stickers if we have such a problem with residents getting into the beaches? And I know we're lucky that we have these beautiful beaches, not every
Yeah.
town does, but.
Yeah, so the out-of-town stickers, seasonal out-of-town, we've only sold 13 of them. So when I talk about our total sales of being over 12,000 stickers at this point, since this data is a week old, we only sold, 19 out-of-town non-resident stickers, and that is only for people who live in Mashpee, Bourne, and Sandwich, where they do not have the number of beaches or staffed beaches that we have. It's like a reciprocal, I think of the fee system as a tiered system. So access to our beach parking lots for anybody is really that $375 price. And you only qualify for it if you're in that geographical zone. The next tier down is in-town seasonal. You're someone who rents the same house every year for 3 months. Well, you're living in Falmouth for 3 months, $275 is your access. When you go down to 4 week, you only rent for the month of August. It goes down to $225. And the shortest you're in town is 1 week is $80. And a taxpayer gets all of that for anywhere in the $40, $45, or $50 range based on the time of year where you purchase your sticker. So it's really a prorated benefit for the taxpayer, and the data shows that percentage-wise, taxpayers are getting the stickers, whether or not they use them on a daily basis. Yeah. Anything else? Okay. Thank you. Have a great day.